Hey everybody, it's Angela and I'm here with Ghost Hunting Beauties. Welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing some ghost hunting tools. Today's tool, a REM pod. Here we have special order from Ghost Stop, as you've all probably seen. We love the tools from Ghost Stop, high quality stuff. So what we have today is what is called the REM pod. Now, a REM pod is a really crucial piece of ghost hunting equipment. It's a little bit costly, a little bit more expensive than the cat balls that you've seen, but this is really crucial to a lot of investigations. So the REM pod, we're going to open it up here. I'm going to put this garbage aside. I'm going to hide the little receipt there. No one needs to see that. And here we go. It even comes with directions, which is even better. So let's get this box out of the way. And the good thing about when you order from Ghost Stop is you have these nice little keychains. They do glow in the dark. Don't forget about that, because if you have them sitting out when you're investigating, it might spook you when you see a little bitty glow in the dark ghost going by. Not saying that's happened, but maybe that's happened. All right. So this one here, let me get it out so you can kind of see. So you can see we've got all the equipment ready here. This is the REM pod. Now, some of you have probably seen them on investigations before. Now, this says to remove the brown paper before use. That's pretty important. We have our little directions here. All right. So the most difficult part of all of this is the brown tape. Like, we had to stop everything for a second here and try to figure it out. So you need to remove this before using. So that's what we're going to do first. We took it out of the box, taking it off, and then we'll get into a little bit more of explaining kind of what a REM pod does. If you've ever seen any of our shows, any behind the scenes, you'll see that our paranormal girls are incredible with REM pods. They have educated us quite a bit on what they do. They've demonstrated. So now we are going to take off all this really ugly tape. Ooh. And then, promise you, I'm not just throwing this on my floor over here. Let's get this tape off. You ever try to buy those things at the store and it basically takes act of Congress, or you have to practically destroy the item just to get it out? I think the worst I've ever had was I was trying to get a pair of scissors removed. And then it's like, wait, how do I cut this to get the scissors out if I don't have scissors? Kind of blows my mind. All right. If you can see this, we've got the REM pod here. And it comes with its little antenna. So let's start explaining a little bit more about the REM pod. So, of course, this is a miniature. You see them in different sizes, different functions. This one comes from Ghost Stop. It has its own type of function as well with a temperature. Let's get this little antenna on, if you can see that. Boop. Antenna is on. Boop. All right. So, got your little antenna working here. All right. So, a lot of these are used to record data, meaning that when the temperature changes, since this has a temperature sensor in it, that it's been said that when paranormal activity occurs, sometimes the room gets suddenly hotter or sometimes it gets colder, especially in certain areas where you see paranormal activity occurring. So once you sit this down and one of the alerts lets you know the temperature is changing, usually you can use this to record data and say that there's something possibly paranormal happening because of the temperature changes. Now, that's why a lot of investigations, you have to turn off the air conditioner, turn off the heater, I know a lot of these it's really cold or really hot, but you'll want to make sure you don't have any interference or it could set the machine off. Then you don't want to get any false data. You want accurate data with this. So It's got this little telescopic antenna. So as you can see, little antenna here. It has its own independent electromagnetic field around it, and it's kind of influenced by objects that conduct electricity. So when you're doing anything with your REM pod, you want to make sure that there's nothing also electrical going on. So if you have anything electrical going on, or let's say don't put it by your TV, don't put your phone by it. Your phone can tend to set off all these electronic devices. All right, so you've got 4 LED lights here. These are the main 4 lights you have here. Now you're going to have different activity. This depends on proximity, depends on the strength of the energy that's around it. So let's say you have something, as we've had in our investigations, we swear there's been some kind of energy grabbing a hold of the antenna. When it grabs a hold of the antenna or touches it, it's going to end up setting it off. And of course, it's going to be like beep, 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 setting off beep, beep, beep. Did I do that correctly? Beep, beep. All right. Now, when you are using this device as well, you'll want to have something to record, a camera set up so that you can actually see the lights going off. You can actually hear the device. Make sure your audio is set up correctly. You want to make sure that there is no interference as you're recording. If your cameras are too close, it can also interfere and set off the REM pod as well. So in a second, we're going to turn this bad boy on, see if we get anything, or just kind of demonstrate what happens if electronics get near it, or maybe even paranormal. You just never know. Now, this one is supposed to be their upgraded model. Now, this one, since it has the temperature sensor, it has all of that, it has proximity detection, it has range adjustment, it has a sensitivity boost as well. So if you want to increase the sensitivity or decrease the sensitivity depending on where you're at. It also has an automated temperature deviation detection, that's ATDD. It alerts with audible tones you're going to hear when it goes off. The LEDs for the visual alerts, you're going to have red for warmer, blue for cooler, obviously. You can automatically or manually adjust it for correction. And you also have kind of independent switches here, as you can see. 2, 3, these little independent switches here as well. So that's going to adjust the different zones. So now it's similar to the original REM pods that you see. Since this is the newest version, it's going to have a little bit difference. It's got enhanced sensitivity detection. So that's going to be, you probably get a little bit more accurate results. You also may have a little more anomalies. So I would suggest manually adjusting some of the sensitivity, also depending on where you're set up, the conditions you're around. Let's say if you're somewhere that's really cold, you might have it start setting up, if an air conditioner turns on, heater turns on. So make sure you keep out any interference with your REM pod. All right. So when you have anything externally messing with it, let's say, or any type of activity to record, you're going to end up having a green light going off and the sound's going to alert you as well. So give us just a moment. We are going to turn the sucker on and see what we get. Now, the intention that Ghost Stop states that they have for this to have the increased sensitivity is so that you can have the picking up on extra activity, something you may not have picked up before, something weaker. Because if you have something, let's say a spirit with lower energy or an entity with lower energy, and they are trying to come near you, or maybe they're at a further back distance, it's able to pick this up. So you have a lot more chances to pick up paranormal activity with this REM pod right here. Now, the blue light is going to indicate when the ambient temperature drops. And that's going to be really, really helpful. And especially whenever it increases in temperature, you're going to see the red light come on. That's going to be helpful as well, depending on where you're at. If you're somewhere that's already very cold and you end up getting warmer temperature, then the red light's going to go off. That's going to be really, really great for a lot of paranormal investigators, and even some that are in the novice stage where you're just learning, kind of like us. I think we're in like level 1, level 2, just learning about this stuff and just using it, and so far getting great activity. If you do have any questions or you need any help, I would consult with either Ghost Stop or with the paranormal team to actually help you out, to teach you how to use the equipment and to show you the do's and don'ts. Now, this specific one was actually designed for more professionals, because you're going to have to start making a lot of adjustments with your sensitivity levels, and you want to be able to have a little bit of experience under your belt before you start using it. Can you use it as a novice? Yes, you can, but you may not know what you're getting, or you may not be able to differentiate between what could be paranormal or other interference and activity without having a few years under your belt. But can you do this early on? Yes, you can, because we are, like I said, level 1, level 2, but we're going to be learning as we go. And we'll document different things as we go along, and we'll be using these on the shows as well. All righty, you've got your Energizer battery. That's kind of one of the perks here. This battery comes with, it's an industrial Energizer battery. Why do you want to have industrial? Well, I'll tell you why. If you have any indication that you have paranormal activity or you have been investigating before, you'll know that ghosts like to drain batteries or spirits, entities, because they need your energy to be able to communicate or to project their energy, or so we've been told. So if they're going to drain something, sometimes they might even drain your REM pod, your flashlights, your cameras, your phones, or any kind of equipment you have. So I say we turn it on and just see what we get here. Right, we press the button and we have turning it on. There we go. Now, currently we've got cameras, we've got different things going on around us. So anything that you see right now is probably not going to end up being fully accurate. But you see the red light is on, but you see how I'm setting it off. So anytime you go near something like this, you are going to see setting it off. You hear the audible tones. Green light indicates something is active. And then you'll have the temperature things. It does not like, wait. See, pretty cool. One feature with this REM pod is, since you have the proximity detection along with the electromagnetic fields, or you also have the temperature detection, if you want to use one versus the other because you feel one may be more valid than the other, or let's say you're worried about interference, you have too much electrical interference and you'd rather it detect the temperature changes, you don't have to use both functions. You can use one or the other. So that's kind of one of the benefits with this REM pod here, is you can have options. Options are great when investigating, especially because there's so many different locations. Activity is very unpredictable. And with your REM pods, you are able to get a different level of documentation than you would with just sitting there with your phone or with your camera and just talking to spirits. This is definitely one of the ways you can do this for a live podcast. Like I said, I would suggest keeping your cell phones away from it and your cameras away from it if you're recording. I see it all the time. I see people who will touch the REM pods and they're inexperienced and they think that something's setting it off, or they put their cell phones that are not on airplane mode too closely. I mean, even with airplane mode, I keep all electronics back away from everything. Sometimes I do document on the side with my cell phone far away from equipment because we don't want any false data. We want everything you see to be raw, unfiltered. We want it to be true and accurate, because why have something you're going to make up? It just doesn't make any sense. So this equipment is to help eliminate a lot of the false readings. It's also to give you a lot more options when it comes to temperature detection, motion with the, it helps to give you a lot with the temperature detection. You have the detection with the EMF. You have everything going on here that gives you a lot more accurate readings. See, here we have the temp. So there you have it with your REM pod. If you've seen our show or any of the behind the scenes features, you can see that the REM pod is going off a lot of times. You'll see that we have our paranormal investigators who have many, 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 many years of experience with them next to us at all times. They are teaching us how to use the equipment. They also have very similar equipment with REM pods as well. This is just one of the latest ones from Ghost Stops that we want to display for you guys. And if you have any questions, drop a comment and like, follow, and share. This has been Angela with Ghost Hunting Beauties.